What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Trucker Talk. I have my one and only Mr. George, man. First off, man, I always hit you with the question. How was your week, man?
It's been hectic, but
How's life?
it's been hectic, but we made it through it. That's all we can do.
Well, hey, I tell you one thing though. It's been a hot week though.
Oh, whew.
I will say that it's been pretty hot. So I know when I got home from church this morning. I mean, yeah, I could tell I was like, yeah,
Dear.
it's out there in the grass. Grass is dry. I mean, I know you said you mowed, but yeah, I give it another week before I mow. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad to have you here today. But yeah, my week, man. You said your week's good. My week has been, I say, a little challenging, man.
Yep.
So as far as the career change and bouncing from I guess I was telling it's funny because somebody asked me the other day. They said, "How's your new job going? How's life going?" And I said, 3 weeks ago I didn't have a job. I said, I said I'm about to get my first paycheck, but 3 weeks ago I didn't have a job. So I said, I'm not complaining. I said everything's good right now. I said my only thing is I'm making adjustments because for the past 19 years I was used to the 4 a.m. 5 a.m. schedule. So now, and when I was younger, I would say, man, I couldn't do night shift. I don't see myself doing that. But there again, when you get put in a position where things, and we're gonna talk about transition today. But when you're in a different, I guess, space and place, and things change, then you can either keep doing the same thing you're used to doing, or you can adapt, make some changes. So, but first off, Austin did pretty good today, man.
On his couch.
Yeah, but it was a good service, man.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
and I'll say he triggered me. There was a couple of days he said, when I say triggered me, it was a good thing. But he was talking about how, and there again, people. He did the couch example where he was on the couch and he's like, God, asking God to do all this stuff. But he's, the whole point he was making is you're sitting there, you're not doing anything, but you want God to do all these things for you.
Prayer without work.
But that's how most people, well, I can't speak for, but you see most people doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And they be like, well, I'm gonna pray for this, I'm gonna pray for that. And it's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did a pretty good job. But and I think I'm trying to think of another thing he touched on. Well, relationships is trippy for me, but he made that comment. He said he was talking about how people, they get in these relationships and they, 10 years, you engage. He's like, what are you gonna do? You either gonna, you know, crap or get off the pot.
That's really
So
what it boils down to. It
but
is.
you
He's
see
right.
you see those things. But yeah, so episode 15, transition, we're gonna talk about that. But say a quote, you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending.
Yep.
C.L. Lewis. What do you think about
I
that
like
quote?
that's a good one. That is good because sometimes I think we do look at things, so we're not gonna worry about trying to change it because we can't change the future. Well, you can't, but the ending is still coming. So you work on that. Try to work on that ending.
Right. But I mean, you well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next quote. I like this one. The day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. Be patient. Be consistent.
Consistency.
Because and I'll I'll use an example of this morning when I walked. While I was at church and you and Preston was talking.
Yeah.
And he gave an example of somebody that was wanting things, but trying to be picky about things. But it's like in this time and era that we're living in right now, you got people. Well, you got people that they pick and choose. Everything is not nothing's good enough for anybody anymore. But they want stuff fast instead of working for it or just giving stuff time to get to where it need to be at.
And I can understand that. And that I can relate to that to a point, and I think we all can. We don't. It's kind of like settling. You just don't settle for anything, but you don't pass up everything waiting for the right thing. It's just steps you got to
Correct.
take to get to what you want.
Well, yeah, and some people, like I said, some people are picky, and
Mhm.
I and since you said that, a friend of mine when I was job hunting, um, about 3 weeks, about 4 weeks ago, and they made a comment to me. And they was like, I'm not gonna say the company's name. They was like, you can go to such and such, and I was like, look, I said I got these endorsements for a reason. So me personally, I set myself up because I don't want to go back to. I mean, I don't get me wrong. um, I've been there. I've done that. I worked that type. I've done that type of work, but I know what it does to your body,
Mhm.
and I don't want to go back to that.
Right.
So there's a reason why I have the endorsements that I have. So as
That makes
far as that
sense.
area, I can pick and choose,
Yeah.
but there again, with the where I ended up at, it's beneficial for me now because even though I had those the hazmat endorsement, I'm actually as far as the training, the as far as using it, they handle things like that, and it's more hands on versus the place that I come from.
Right. Right. But, and I don't think you're not being picky or choosy. Like I say, you set yourself up for these reasons. We can all go back and say, "Well, I'm not going to ever go and do this." But worst case scenario, if you had to survive, you will for a
Correct.
while until you get to that next step where you can move on from that point. But if you're struggling or just need that, whatever the job is, to get you through that next paycheck or whatever, then I would say that you do it until you can. But like I say, when you set yourself up, you got options with what you have stuff up with.
Correct. Correct. You're right about that. So, but well, and like I said, and other people, some people just the people that don't have those options, they pick and choose, and they shouldn't. But saying this, your story might be the key that unlocks somebody else's prison. So speak it.
Mhm.
I heard that quote, and it's just one of those things when you meet somebody, you don't really know anybody's like you don't know their story until they tell you their story.
Right.
So as people, we can be I can I can be in a grocery store or even at the grocery store or at the gym or somewhere, and you look at somebody, and it's like you've already just by looking at them, you formulate these opinions and stuff in your head, but it's like you don't even really know their story.
I think we do it subconsciously. We don't really have intent to do it. We just by nature. I think we always kind of grasp that. Well, you look at this, but you're assuming this about this person or this person's situation. But until they open up and say this is what's going on, you don't really know. So, from the looks of it, you look like this. But it's
Right.
well, no, looks can be deceiving, and we see it all the time as well.
Right, right. And yeah, I mean, it happens. So we all hit that moment where life doesn't feel like what it used to, but it ain't quite what it's about to be either.
Mhm.
So this is for anybody that's uncomfortable in between space in the that's uncomfortable in between space, the transition. So as far as you, and I know you got a lot of wisdom. So
Well,
I know there's different points in your life where and I'm gonna share my story as far as like we transitioned, but you remember a part that, and maybe it was like a career change or something like that, that you had to make a transition to where it was uncomfortable and you was just, I guess, not fumbling, but just trying to process things. Like, how did you like, what did you do to
yeah,
process that?
I think we all transition. I mean, any job you get project, you transition. And a transition takes place no matter what. Like I've had jobs I had to go from learning this to learning that, and you have to say, well, now I got something else I got to learn. And we do it all the time. We get these new jobs. Now you just learned another whole skill that you didn't have before. Even when I, moved up here, summer, coming from the gym. then going into physical labor work. That was the transition because at the gym I
Okay.
was just personal trainer, not really physical work at all. Most of it just learning and training other people and or selling gym memberships.
Right.
And I transitioned to this. Now I got to do physical work, which that was a transition because again I can do physical work, but it still had to learn to use physicality versus knowledge from the brain. It still coincide. You still got to learn how to do that job as well. So
Correct.
that transition, going from doing something that of that nature, that skill, to another whole skill set, and even within that job, transitioning from that position even to another position, still doing the same thing, but now you're using a different set of skills that you use here. But now you got to increase more skills because this other job you just kind of transition to another phase of the same company, but skill set is a little bit different because now you're in another field, but you're doing the same thing. You're adding to that skill.
Right. 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 And so, and I mean, it makes sense. I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I think about a friend of mine used to always say, "This is 2025." He say every 10 years your life changed. And when I was younger, I would laugh. I'd be like, whatever, you know. So, and I don't know why, man, but as I'm adjusting to the night shift, my mind, my brain, everything that was said to me, it's like I'm up by myself. Ain't nobody talk, there's everybody sleep. So
Mhm.
I sat and I was on my way to Greenville uh last what's the last night or the night before last
Which would be
night. I can't
Which would
keep
be
my
Thursday
days.
night, yeah. Because
No,
you
Friday night. So this is
because
Sunday.
that's your work, but you had to work. You were actually alone that day. You were solo,
Yes, I was solo
Which was Friday night into Saturday morning.
in the Saturday morning. Yes. So I thought about that and I was thinking because when I first started Coca-Cola in 2003, I started that job and I said, I'm gonna retire here. So I left Coca-Cola in 2015. So from the time 2015 to 2025, where we're at, I was at Coke I left Coke in 2015. So I started at Cisco in Knoxville. So from 2015 to 2022, I worked at Cisco. So I left Cisco to go to another Taylor Enterprises. So from 2022 up until 2025, it's like that's three different. Let me see, Coke. That's four different companies
Yeah,
that I work for. So you talking about a big transition in my
mhm,
life because I'm not just talking about the money, like the money I left for money for the first job, but the money aspect wasn't even. That's not what it was about, but just the different job, the job duties.
yeah.
So
Responsibilities.
I break down going from filling, you filling coolers, dealing with store managers and all that, and I think we build displays. Yeah, we build displays at CVS and stuff like that. To rolling to delivering groceries and dealing with restaurants, nursing homes, and all that. To the whole diesel, well, diesel is off fluid, not diesel. Um, to now, I'm delivering auto parts,
Yeah,
and so I'll never forget the week before last when I was training with the guy. I'm sitting here just visualizing all these different jobs, trying to compare all four, just trying to compare the job duties and how
mhm,
difficult this is and how difficult. And so it it kind of messed with my mind a little bit because I was just I guess processing it. But I'm thinking this job is simple. Like when I first, and I'm gonna go to the driving aspect now. I was driving for Coca Cola. They said pull up, park, don't back up. So with Cisco, you had to back, you had to blind back, you had to
yep,
back all kinds of ways, back off the road. Um, with Taylor, I was in a 53 footer, backing up to docks, which I didn't really have that many docks to back up to. So, and then now with this fourth company, I'm in a 53 footer, but in my mind, it gives me that mindset of Cisco because kind of like when I was running late. Yesterday, I'll tell my
mhm,
I'll bring it up, but I was running late, and my mindset, anxiety already kicked in. I'm like, okay, Now that I'm running late, there's going to be cars in the parking lot. So now you got to adjust your mindset to where the stuff that I learned in training, the way he told me to pull in the parking lots, all that's out the door.
Yeah.
Because when you get to the store, you're like, okay, now I got vehicles parked everywhere. So now I got to figure out how to back this truck in or where I need to back it, let my lift gate down. So as far as that, I thought about all that on my way to Greenville.
It is. Yeah, it's
I
overwhelming.
said a little too much, but I just processing all that. But I'm laughing because I told you I tell you this other story. My first day out Friday night, and I never forget, man. I ate good. I got me a good nice rest. I had my notes drawn up, and I was pumped. I was ready, man. And what Mike Tyson say? They say you always got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. So I was on my way to my first stop, and when I got to my first stop, I had a flat tire.
Yep.
And this real life. So I had a flat tire, first time, new company, out by myself. So 4 hours, laid me 4 hours.
Half of a day almost. Think about it. In reality.
So me, I'm used, like, the thing about me is I'm used to that, but this is a different company, so I need to find out what the protocol and what do I need to do before I assume, well, it don't matter, just run it. So, I made the proper phone calls and stuff like that, called the guys that was training me and got some information from them. So, but it worked out pretty good. I mean, it was a long day, but it worked out pretty good. But transition feels like loss before it feels like growth. And to speak on that, it's like I was in a different space. Like when I was from going to orientation a couple of weeks ago, like I was in my own house, and I can admit this, I was feeling kind of lost because I was in
it's all new territory.
Yeah, new territory, man. And when they said in adjusting to night shift, George.
Oh, I know. We talk about this all the time.
Man, it's different.
It's totally different because your body has your biological clock. Also, just you got to change everything.
Everything
that you do has to be changed.
Everything.
Sleep patterns change. Your eating pattern change. Even your thinking change because now where you're up, you're having to think. Before you was asleep and you were just dreaming. So those things have changed also. Everything changes. So it takes a while for your body to regulate all those different changes. And it's complicated. It really is. And it's challenging because your brain's thinking one thing, but your body is doing something totally different because it's like normally you should be asleep by now, but your body, you got to keep your adrenaline going because you can't sleep because you got to get back up and go back to work. In a couple hours when it's dark, when you normally are going to bed, you waking up. So it's challenging.
Yeah, and I mean it is, and that goes another thing. It says you feel lonely because everybody can't go with you. And when I'm not trying to say everybody can't go with me, but it's like everybody sleeps, so you can't force people to be on your new work schedule. So it's like okay, but it's like to me. I guess I've always been, well, in my younger years, I was what's the rule you say? I was defiant. I always I've always made this, and I'm 40 now, made decisions that complicate my life, which I make better choices now, but I don't try to complicate things like I did in the past. So, but yeah, man, being out working at night, it's different, but I mean, I can handle it. It's just learning these new set of guys and the people that I'm training with, learning them and getting to know them. And not saying hopefully, but they'll teach me and give me the good advice that they can give me. So, but the old version of you will beg, and this is, I'm not even going to, I'm not going to put them out like, but it says the old version of you will beg to be held on to. So with change, when you're out of your comfort zone, you may, which I can't run back to my old job because it's not there no more.
Right.
But some people, I mean,
but you were used to that. You learned it. You kind of like mastered that position. So it's like I want to do what I'm comfortable with doing.
What I'm comfortable doing, yeah. So it's like some people. I mean, it's difficult for some people. So, But letting go doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're making room. So,
Changing.
and it's just one of those things. But yeah, but as far as the encouragement takeaway, you're not stuck. You're being stretched. And that's what some people don't realize. Um, and it says, don't rush the transition because God's doing something, even if you don't see it yet. And so with people, it's like they want, like I said, they want results now versus
Instant gratification.
waiting to see what's to come, and just like with me, the whole, like I said, it was a blur for me because I was numb whenever, when I lost my job and all that. I was numb, and I didn't know that I was going, because you can talk things up and say this, that, but I didn't know. I was hoping to land this job, but I did land it.
Right,
But
right.
there was other jobs I applied for. So, this job gave me the opportunity. So now I'm here.
Yep. It's good.
So I'm making those adjustments. And so it says, keep walking, don't go back. What's ahead is worth the wait.
That's what I would say. Yep. I heard that quite a bit, It is, you have to kind of like, I know it's for most people, it's anything that's different, unforeseen, fear because you don't know what the results are going to be. It's kind of like trying to look into the future. If we all knew the future, a lot of things we wouldn't do because we
Well,
knew the results of it.
so that is true. But then you still got that one hard hurt person, that
That's going to
hard hit
try
person.
it.
They still would do it though.
Yep,
So,
that's true.
but yeah, but I appreciate the conversation, man. You anything else you want to add?
Oh, we good. I think it, just kind of sums it up. It's like, just basically what it boils down to is if you have that gumption in your heart, don't be comfortable. Try new things.
Right.
And see how far you can go with those things. Because the more you learn, the better off you're going to be, I guess, in this society as it is anyway.
Well, in life, and I guess the way I feel about as I'm getting older, I just want to constantly learn things because sometimes, and I think he said sometimes. Well, he said you can get comfortable. He
Yeah.
said you get comfortable, so comfortable with the routine. It's like you're just stuck there. But
Yeah.
I I'm wired different, and not that I hate that, but I like that. But I find different things and just try to
Right.
get involved in different things. So, but I appreciate everybody, and if you want to comment or got anything as far as any stories or anything as far as you've experienced
Yeah.
being in a place of transition, just comment below. But thank you as always, and
Yes, sir.
appreciate you, George, and hope everybody have a good
All
day.
right. Thank y'all.
It's the drip from me, Strozar.